to call this February 5th council meeting of the Hoover City Council to order and ask the clerk to call the roll.
Mr. Green?
Here.
Mr. Lyda?
Here.
Dr. Middlebrooks?
Here.
Mr. Murphy?
Here.
Mr. Posey?
Here.
Mr. Shaw?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here. If the clerk will please provide the invocation and Mr. Posey the pledge.
Let us pray. Lord, we come to you with grateful hearts for the many blessings you bestow on us every day. Thank you for hearing our prayers. Thank you for the many answered prayers. We ask your healing power upon those in our community who have been sick this winter. We pray for an end to the flu epidemic that has affected so many people across the country. And we pray for the medical staff who are caring for them, that they will remain healthy and able to perform their duties. In your name we pray, amen.
Salute and pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone should have received a copy of the January 18th minutes. If so,
Move for approval without reading.
second. A motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed nay. The ayes have it. Before we get into the report section, Mr. Rice, I believe tomorrow is the last of this round of future Hoover meetings. Say anything about that real quick?
Yes, the final public response meeting for the comprehensive plan will be held here in the chambers tomorrow evening at 6:30 p.m.
All right. Hope y'all can find your way back. We had about 100 people last week in Bluff Park, so we did 103. Mr. Murphy, if you'd like to work your way down to the podium. We have a proclamation on Black History Month. Turn this over to Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, sir. Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. This month marks a month where our nation celebrates Black History Month. I think probably since 1976, every president has honored this month as a day to celebrate the lessons learned and also the people that work extremely hard to ensure that our nation stays great and we have a tremendous amount of diversity in our city, in our country. I'm proud that the city of Hoover consistently uses a phrase that we have adopted in our messaging where we say, we enjoy being here because we're such a diverse community. We have so many different cultures, so different many mindsets, and just overall just a great, fantastic place to live in. But that diversity came at a cost. During our era in Alabama, many schools were integrated. Some met with violence, some met with tragedy. But I can say that in our region, schools that represent the city of Hoover now, like Green Valley, Rocky Ridge, and at the time Berry was integrated in those 69-70 range. And we have two remarkable people that was a part of that first group of educators that came for integration. Mr. Charles Watley taught science at Berry from 70 to 1995. And also Marilyn Jones, that came prior to him, taught science biology and from 1970 to 2001. I got to say this, the thing that is remarkable about this is that challenges we face all the time in life, but at the same time we got to want to do what's right. And it took people, not only just African Americans, but folks that when you arrived at Berry, people that were non-black, like Sarah Swindle, and also Paulette Pearson, that they wanted this to work. And that's why the city of Hoover is such a great place to live at, because people want diversity. They want it to be successful. I said, Ms. Jones, what issues did you have? You had to have some type of issues. Derek, one of the main issues we had there, back in the day, I had to take my license. And if a little girl came in there with a skirt, I had to put that license on her knee. And if that skirt didn't touch that license, she went back home. So those are one of the challenges that faced. You're talking about Ms. Jones. She was the first African-American principal there. 3 years after coming there, back then, a population didn't determine who was the teacher of the year. The students did. And 3 years after coming there, predominantly white school nominated and also recognized Ms. Jones as being teacher of the year at Berry. That goes to show that it's not about the color of your skin, but about the content of your character that we resonate well. So I would like to say, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for creating that umbrella of diversity we have in our city. And personally, I want to say thank you so much for all you have done for me, that I am able to go where I want to go to school wherever I want to go, and be a part of that. So thank you so much. Thank you all for listening. And again, thank you. I have a reading proclamation now. Black History Month celebrates the achievement and contributions of African Americans in the United States, whereas in 1926, Dr. Carter Goodwin Woodson launched Negro History Week as an initiative to bring national attention to the history of African American people. And whereas in the month of February was chosen for Negro History Week, later established as Black History Month because it marks the birthdays of two men who greatly influenced the history of African Americans, Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln. And whereas Black History Month also a lesson to all that everyone can contribute to the welfare of our community, city, state, nation, and world. And whereas the city of Hoover also recognized the sacrifice of the men and women who aided in the integration of schools that once and currently are a part of Hoover City school system. And whereas by their work to desegregate schools in our region, the city of Hoover has become one of the most racially and ethnically diverse cities and school districts in the state of Alabama. Now, therefore, we honor and proclaim the month of February 2018 as Black History Month in the city of Hoover, and call upon the residents as well as others to observe and commemorate the many who have sacrificed for all of us. In witness thereof, I, Frank V. Bricado, on behalf of the City Council and the residents of the city of Hoover, have here to set my hands and cause the seal of the city of Hoover to affix this 5th day of February, the year of our Lord 2018. Thank you.
The invitation, and it's just good to be here by invitation rather than expectations, as we had to do when we were principals in the system. This system, or this city of Hoover, has been a very big part of my work life. I've spent almost 30 years in the school system, having had 2 children to have graduated from the Hoover school system. And during my tenure here, there was always great camaraderie between the community and me, and among my co-workers, and it's just been enriching. And I continue to be astounded at the evolution and the continuous progress
of this school system. And the fact that you have to keep building schools attests to what a fine job you're doing here in education. So congratulations to you, and I applaud you. Thank you again for the invitation.
Ms. Jones, as a member of the class of 75, I'd like to speak to your accolades as well. My wife actually had your class. Pam Jackson, 76. Say hello, she's probably watching on YouTube.
Good evening, I'm Charles Watley. I taught science at Berry High School, and I'm oftentimes asked the question, do you ever have any problems? I don't remember any. I don't remember any problems that I had at Berry High School. I enjoyed the academic arena, and I'm still involved in education in the Birmingham system, so really, I enjoyed it. And it's kind of funny, really, a few years ago, I was having a root canal, and the dentist said, "Are you the Mr. Watley that taught me science at Berry back in the day?" He said, kind of funny, really, you know, what goes around comes around. I taught him science in about the 7th and 8th grade. A few weeks ago, I was at Alabama Power Building getting my shoes shined. A young man came into the shoe parlor there, and he said, "You taught me somewhere." Now he's the vice president of Alabama Power. I run up with my students all the time. My daughters don't like being with me because they say, "You talk to many people." And I just run up on them. They remember me and I remember them. Thank you for coming.
Thank you to everyone. Bryce, do you have something? Next we have a proclamation honoring Al Castillo Jr. Unfortunately, Mr. Castillo has already moved to Houston. He was supposed to be here this evening, but I think he has some work issues that didn't allow him to make his flight. So we do have someone here to accept this proclamation in his honor.
Yes, sir. Mr. President and members of the council, Mr. Jody Chapman, who's the Chief Operations Officer of Alabama Veterans, has graciously joined us tonight to receive this on behalf of Mr. Castillo. Mr. Castillo is an Army veteran, and he is a 2-time Purple Heart recipient. Sometimes you hear people make the statement that someone has won the Purple Heart. You don't win the Purple Heart, you receive it. And he has done that in service to our country, as many of our residents have done, but more significantly, he's continued on in his civilian life with some accomplishments. Mr. Corley, if you would please read the proclamation.
Whereas Alberto Al Castillo Jr., retired U.S. Army combat veteran, senior non-commissioned officer, and the recipient of 2 Purple Hearts, is well known for his desire to serve others and his community, as well as his ability to motivate, inspire, and encourage individuals in all walks of life. And whereas throughout his 16-year military career serving in both the Afghanistan and Iraq conflicts, Al received numerous honors and commendations in recognition of his outstanding contributions, superior performance, and excellent leadership capabilities. And whereas upon his retirement from active duty and his relocation to the city of Hoover, Al quickly identified an area of need for veterans in the state of Alabama who were reintegrating into civilian life and encountering difficulties and obstacles along the way. And whereas Al envisioned a resource to engage veterans in the community, reconnect them with other veterans, and provide social and recreational therapy. And whereas in 2016, Al, along with co-founder Benjamin Armstrong, established the Alabama Veteran Organization with the unique mission of providing veterans unprecedented access to everything veteran and 2 guiding principles, setting the example for community stewardship and always giving back. And whereas Al's vision has become a reality and the Alabama Veteran Organization has succeeded in connecting with thousands of Operation Enduring and Iraqi Freedom veterans, and whereas as president of Alabama Veteran and in the position of Constituent Service and Veteran Engagement Officer in the U.S. House of Representatives, Office of Congresswoman Terry Sewell, 7th District, Al has served as a strong and tireless advocate for veterans and provided opportunities for them to connect, grow, navigate resources for veterans, find employment, and become a vital part of their community. Now, therefore, I, Frank V. Mercado, Mayor of the City of Hoover, on behalf of the Hoover City Council and the residents of the City of Hoover, do hereby present this proclamation to retired U.S. Army combat veteran, senior non-commissioned officer Al Castillo Jr., in appreciation for his distinguished service to the United States of America and the valuable contributions he has made to the veterans community. We are honored that for a time he called Hoover home, and we wish him well as he returns to his native Houston. May God bless Al in his future endeavor. Presented this the 5th day of February 2018.
Mr. President, we should thank Dr. Middlebrooks for bringing the situation to our attention, facilitating that.
Very good. I guess just so we can have it on the record, the mayor sends his regrets for not being able to be here. I believe he's out of state on a business mission trip of sorts.
We'll follow that.
Hopefully, he will, well, you know, hopefully he'll get a trophy. Now, if we took this next one and moved it beyond the comments, we'd probably keep the crowd a lot longer. But I got a feeling there's a few young people starting to get a little hungry. So, next we have the Moss Rock Festival Planet Project presentation. How are you?
Thank you. Got some old people that are getting hungry too.
Oh, okay.
I'm just teasing. Good evening. Thank you for having us here at tonight's Hoover City Council meeting. I'm Jennifer Wissonet with the Birmingham Auto Dealers Association, but I'm also on the board of directors for the Moss Rock Festival. How many of you have ever been to the Moss Rock Festival? Minus the babies. Oh, good. It's held at the Preserve every year, and this was our 12th year. Hey, Tim. Tim and I went to high school together. This is our 12th anniversary of the Moss Rock Festival. It was held in November at the Preserve. And this particular year this past year, we had an incredible event. The weather was perfect, and the projects were perfect, and everything else, so we really appreciate it. It's certainly a community-wide festival, and it has continued to grow by leaps and bounds over the 12 years that it's been here. And we're certainly grateful to the City of Hoover for all of the support, and each of our sponsors and other supporters, and especially, of course, our vendors and our artists. And that's what we're here tonight about. Is a wonderful asset to the Moss Rock Festival every year is what we call Planet Projects. And every year I'm just amazed at what the students come up with and the creativity that goes into each of their projects. Thank you so much to the teachers and students for taking part in this year's Planet Project. The theme was coral reefs, and so we certainly applaud the study, the creativity, the curiosity, and the enthusiasm that went into the original works of art that were created by using reclaimed materials. We're very proud, of course, to have Superintendent Dr. Murphy here tonight. Oh, there she is. Thank you. And a couple of your school board members as well. If y'all would like to come on up, we're going to be in the pictures as well with the teachers. They're going to help us present the Eco-Creative Awards of recognition to each of these schools. By the way, the teachers have already received a grant that they got for helping us participate in this, for participating in the Moss Rock Festival, and so they got that earlier, right after it. Teachers and students, when I call out your school, if you'll come up here to the center, Eileen Kunzman, who is here with me tonight with the festival, and Dr. Murphy. Alan, do you want to help with the presentation as well? They're going to give the plaques to the teachers and the students, if you will, and we'll take some photos. So I'll call them up one at a time. First one is Miss Julie Atmark and Shades Mountain for their project entitled Coral Reef. Next year we're going to bring pictures of these projects, because you really need to see them. Couldn't bring the whole projects because some of them are like the size of this room. Yes, it's individual, sorry. Thank you. Miss Tracy Knight Engelwright and Gwen Elementary for their project entitled Water's Colors. No, yeah, y'all come on. That's why we want them all up here. Dr. Murphy, I started to say tall people in the back, but you can still stay back there. Yeah, exactly. She's here. Is she not here? Oh, the principal. Okay, yeah, if you'd like to come on in and get the pictures. Well, I'm sorry. Didn't realize you were here. Appreciate it. Yes, Dr. White's from there. Okay, thank you. Okay, and I guess I should say, if you are associated with the school, please come on down and get your picture made as well. Miss Jana Budoff Maynard and Rocks Gap Intermediate School for their project entitled Colorful Corals. Yeah, that. Just slide down. Oh, we do have photos on our website, thank you. You can Google Moss Rock Festival and you can see all about the whole entire festival itself, so. Miss Sammy Funkhauser Thrasher in Deer Valley Elementary, their project was entitled easy for me to say, a colorful coral collage. There you go. Am I here tonight? Oh, okay, okay, I'm sorry, I thought she was gonna be here. Yeah. Ms. Meg Copeland in Bluff Park Elementary, their project was entitled Sculpted World. And remember, all of these were made with reclaimed materials, and so they learned, it was an interdisciplinary project. They learned about recycling and upcycling and all of that. Miss Shannon Bourne and her Prince of Peace School students for Cardboard Coral Reef Project. See that here tonight. That's it. Well, congratulations. We look forward to seeing everyone at the Moss Rock Festival this year. Thank you very much.
I'll start the segment of taking the room, work your way down the podium. Westover, would you like the minutes to include back when you went to high school? Lewis is going to have a presentation on proposed revisions to personnel policies and procedures will be considered at the next council meeting.
Mr. Smith, we start off with a little history. Our policies and procedures manual that we have presently, we believe the whole to be a very sound policy. But we're up against time here. This policy has not been updated since 2006, which is an incredibly long amount of time. Not go the necessary legal revisions and that sort of thing. Say that no updates since 2006, with the exception of a couple of minor updates in 2009, in the last classification compensation study. When we undertook this project last year, we began working off of a document in 2014, which was last time we planned to update these policies. So we had a legally reviewed document that became our base for the revisions. We took that base, along with all the notes we had compiled over the years of human resources of areas that needed to be updated. We took that, we invited a few groups to review, make comments. We made our initial edits. That would include the Employee Advisory Committee, the EAC, we had department heads review these documents, and of course, city administration. We took it from there, had it reviewed by our legal staff. Once legal came back, we met with them and did a few back and forth exchanges with them, got it into what we consider the final format, and we again sent that document out to the EAC for a review period, along with the department heads as well as our personnel review board. That comment period is ended, and we've made necessary revisions out of that, and that brings us to where we are here tonight. It's important to note with this is the first of two planned phases of revision. We call them phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1, which is before you tonight, adoption in 2 weeks, is really, for lack of a better term, the uninteresting part of it. This is going to be planned legal revisions, legal updates where the law has changed, cleanup of out-of-date practices, out-of-date forms, that sort of thing. There's language inserted in the document you have that updates are better updates to reflect our current organizational structure, which has changed in the 12 years since the last policies were adopted. Phase 2 is going to deal with the areas of compensation and benefits. So you're not going to see any wholesale changes in this document tonight. We decided to do it in 2 phases, simply because we do have the ongoing classification and compensation study. It did not seem proper to address any areas in classification and compensation. We've got that study that's going to come to fruition here in the next couple of months. So we will be seeing us back with another portion, which will hopefully bring this document and this revision to completion. As far as the content itself, since 2006, we've had changes in multiple federal laws that are not reflected in here. Notably, the Family Medical Leave Act a lot of parameters with that changed in 2009. We've needed updated to the Fair Labor Standards Act, the USERRA Act, which is the act that deals with employment and service members here in the city, their rights that they have, and then some changes in the Department of Transportation drug testing guidelines also were recently revised. Within it too, there's 2 new sections of note, one being a standards of conduct section, section 2, and then section 17, way back at the back, just a very brief section dealing with email communications. So with this, presenting this document to you tonight, this will do a couple of things. This will, of course, afford you an opportunity to review the document and ask any questions over the next couple of weeks, making comments and that sort of thing. We'll also initiate the required 10-day review period, posting period for any changes to the document that are to be considered between now and then. So with no major, we consider it final, but we understand changes may take place between now and then prior to adoption based on any input from you. We'll also, of course, make it available now to the employee population at large. So with no major changes, we would target the February 19th council meeting for adoption. And with that, I'll entertain any questions you might have.
Where will this document be made available?
We just got, the way the policy reads, it just has to be posted. Our plan is to make copies available in the city departments as well as put it on our shared drive that all employees have access to. I say all employees, I know the library does it. We'll make sure a copy is put over there, even though the library does have their own policies and procedures. So that's how we plan to disseminate that out.
Any questions from the council?
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Lewis, you mentioned the email
any rules and regulations to go with that? That's not addressed specifically in this revision. We have always, I know a lot of cities and certainly private industries have adopted a social media policy. We don't have one specifically, it's not in this revision. We've been able to address that under some of the more general standards and conduct and discipline over the years. Was certainly worthy of consideration. Thank you.
Anything else?
Mr. President, may I ask?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lewis, what, if any, changes are there to the nepotism policy?
There's a couple of changes. Our nepotism policy fully defines the relationships, spelling them out, as in sister, brother, that sort of thing. With this revision, we will eliminate the restriction on nieces and nephews. That was previously in there as far as how it pertains to the restrictions on nepotism.
What's the reasoning behind that?
It came up during the discussions, and I took a somewhat informal poll of some colleagues to look at what other cities do, to see if we were in line. That was how the question was asked, if we were in line with what other folks do. And for the most part, the individuals I talked to in other municipalities really have no restrictions spelled out. So I only really encountered one city that had restrictions at the level that we did.
Thank you.
Well,
Any other questions? Anybody that comes up with any, obviously you can get in touch with Mr. Lewis between now. Do we want to schedule any time at the next work session for any conversation, or do you want to wait till the council meeting itself?
no, I'm glad you brought that up. We're going to, I think that's a good idea. We're going to have the attorney with Wallace and Jordan, who worked with us on this revision, will be here at at the work session prior to the 19th. So,
Okay, Ms. Hanley, if you would put that on the agenda, please. All right, I think we're done for now.
okay, and certainly email me, call me with any specific questions. Thank you.
I see some other people in the room. Got signs, I don't know if you're protesting, but up in your report section, do y'all have anything y'all would like to come down and say? Or do you want to wait till the very, very end?
If you'd like to go now.
That's good. Whoever is going to speak on behalf of the group, come on down, and everybody else come on down.
Mr. President, if I may, I'll
Yes, sir.
introduce this group. I believe, I apologize for them not being on the report section. This is a group of students from Spain Park High School here to speak on this district's Pink Shirt Day.
And we have some students from Gwynn Elementary. My name is Anna Whitney. I'm from Hoover City Schools. Thank you for letting us come to the meeting tonight. Casey Kane, she is an intervention counselor at Spain Park High School, and we just came to promote Pink Shirt Day, and I want to see if we can get some support from the city. And February 28th, it's been a very long day.
I'm sorry, Ms. Whitney, do you mind speaking into the microphone so the people on the TV?
Sorry, I'm really very loud person.
All those at home, you're on YouTube in front of millions of people.
Oh, I'm so excited.
No pressure.
So, on February 28th, we are asking all of our Hoover City School students and faculty and staff and all of our support folks to wear pink shirts to stand up against bullying. Just a little quick history of where it came from. About 12 years ago in Vancouver, Canada, a little ninth grader came to school, and he was the new kid in town, and he wore a pink shirt, first day of high school. He was bullied relentlessly the rest of the day. Two seniors that night had heard about what had happened to this kid, and they said, you know what, we're seniors, we're gonna take over this, and we're gonna handle this for the new kid. So they went out, bought a bunch of pink shirts, started handing them out that night, and the next morning, and the whole school turned pink. Well, he was never heard from again. So it became actually a national movement, and February 8th is National Pink Shirt Day, and we have turned it into a week of kindness for us, and I'm going to let Casey tell you about that.
We have representatives from every school across the district that have come together to plan Pink Shirt Day and Pink Shirt Week even at all of their schools. So each school is taking charge of activities throughout the week. So at Spain Park, we have representatives from our Cool to Be Kind Club, and so they have been helping plan some of our activities. It includes spreading kindness, a kindness wall that's going to be set up in the cafeteria. So students can go put sticky notes on there to spread kindness across the school and performing random acts of kindness. So we don't want to just stand up against bullying, but we want to also spread kindness across all of Hoover City schools and all of Hoover City. So we thank you for joining with us in this effort and for helping to promote such an important day for us.
Y'all center up a little bit in front of the seals so we can get everybody. Oh, we're missing somebody. Not gonna have a picture, man?
I forgot to wear pink. I'm really embarrassed.
I didn't.
All right.
Thank y'all. Thank you. Now, you still waiting for your hearing. Next, we have resolution 577518, Mr. Floyd.
This resolution amends resolution number 568417, previously adopted by the City Council on October 16, 2017, and amended by resolution number 573317, adopted by the City Council on November 6, 2017, to revise the list of items to be declared surplus and disposed of as set forth in this resolution number 577518.
Move to approve resolution 577518.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Powell, since we didn't have work session, please give us a moment to explain.
Yes, sir. What we're doing here is cleaning up the paperwork. We just declared all of these items over the course of 2 different meetings as surplus, and we even made some corrections in the second resolution. And this is a follow-up to even the second resolution to clean up the paperwork. What we're doing here is ratifying the fact that we are disposing of that Crown Vic to a different organization than was originally in the resolutions. And that Crown Vic is to be donated at this point to the town of Brookside Police Department. And then on the laptop computers, due to a communications issue, and I'll take responsibility for that. The laptops that were originally said to be disposed of by recycling, and then later we designated to be donated to a charitable organization, were already sent for recycling before we changed the donation. So we're working with that organization to try and get some other laptops together to be donated to that group. This is just to clean up the paperwork in those matters.
So we're authorizing something regarding.
Well, unfortunately, that is the case for sure with the laptop computers. They did go to recycling.
Pinky injury, workman's comp.
Not an unrelated action. I think one of those kids did.
Any questions from Mr. Powell? Any from the audience? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Resolution 5776-18, Mr. Floyd.
This resolution authorizes Mayor Frank V. Burkado to execute an agreement with Alabama Power Company regarding an underground easement at the Hoover Metropolitan Complex.
Move to approve resolution 577618.
Second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Westhoven, if you could give us just a moment since we didn't have a work session.
Yes, sir, Mr. Smith, thank you. This is another easement to Alabama Power for our sports complex. It will bring a line into the baseball complex for their transformers, to feed their transformers. it's a 10-foot wide easement.
Any questions from the council? From the audience? Pretty much just housekeeping, construction. Hearing, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Item number 8 is resolution 5777-18. Mr. Corby.
This resolution authorizes Mayor Frank V. Mercado to execute a service agreement with Charter Communications Operating LLC on behalf of Spectrum for the internet service at the Hoover Recreation Center.
Move to approve resolution 5777.
Second.
Motion is second. Who's going to speak to this item? Nope. Who's? Moose.gov.
Exactly. Loose code.
Oh, that's code.
For Alabama. Yes, this, wow, it's really loud.
We're not making fun of him. That's really how he wants to be addressed.
Exactly. This is an update to the internet service contract we have with REC. It actually lowers the rate as well as increasing the service. It plays a primary role into the Wi-Fi accessibility that we're working on for the city.
Any questions?
Mr. President, is this just for access for
This is just for public.
residents that are okay,
Yes.
public, so this is not even be across the area?
No.
Okay, cool.
Mr. President, if I may, Moose,
Yes, sir.
one of the questions I get most often, Mr. Moss knows this, when are we gonna get Wi-Fi at the rec center? Can you give a
Yes,
date of when this might be a reality there?
Well, if this is approved tonight, in theory, we should have everything up and running by the end of business on Friday of this week.
Very good. You've been all our lives. That's great.
It's Melinda's credit, not mine.
Any other questions from the council? Any from the audience? Seeing and hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Item number 9 is ABC application for American Mex Investments, Inc., DBA Guadalajara Grill, 3470 Galleria Circle. This is for restaurant name change at a previously approved site.
Mr. President, I move to approve the ABC application for American Mex Investments Incorporated.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions from the council? Any from the audience? Hearing, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Item 10 is a public hearing to consider the request of Cole Williams with Goodwin Mills and Kaywood, Inc. for a conditional use approval for the crossings of Hoover, a senior independent and memory care center to be located at 2171 Parkway Lake Drive on the corner of Montgomery Highway and Parkway Lake Drive. The property is owned by S&K Investments and is zoned 2D planned light industrial. It comes from planning and zoning with a approval, Mr. Shaw.
Yes, sir.
All right. This is a public hearing, so we will start off. Does the applicant have anything you care to tell?
Yes, sir. My name is Cole Williams. I'm with Goodwin Mills and Kaywood. We have a short presentation of the project itself. We are requesting a conditional use for senior living. The project is located at the intersection of Parkway Lake Drive and Highway 31. It's kind of off of 31, just a little bit. There's a sort of a water feature along the highway there. Next slide. This is a survey of the site. It kind of shows the general condition of the site today. It's really basically a barren site. It's been that way for a long time. We have some representatives from the developer, Smith Packard, here, and I can give you sort of a brief overview of the project itself.
Troy DeGaven, Smith Packard, we're based in Roanoke, Virginia. Thank you very much.
Please give us your address.
Sure, 4423 Pheasant Ridge Road, Roanoke, Virginia. Will Holmes, Senior VP of Development and Construction for Smith Packard. Just as a little background on Smith Packard, we were started about 35 years ago by Jim Smith, been developing senior communities for about 35 years, all the way from Alabama now up into Ohio, into Michigan. We're developing about 10 to 12 properties last 5 years, we believe we're the largest largest developer of senior communities in the nation. Some good things about our properties is our use is probably the least impactful development that you're going to find. Our residents, their children typically grow up and do not cause that for a burden in the school system. Most of our residents do not drive, so there's no impact on, very little impact on traffic. Our peak time trips are probably 30 at most, which is a lot less than what you're going to find with apartments, commercial development, that type of thing. Employment creation. Typically, one of our facilities creates about 125 jobs, so that helps bring money into the community. The other thing is tax base. Our developments are about $35 million projects. So again, that helps with the tax base for the community while not creating a big burden on the community. We're typically a great use or location in between commercial development or transition into residential, which is kind of what we have here, going from the office park over to residential across 31. What we try to do is do memory care, assisted living, and independent living all under one roof. And sometimes what we'll find is we actually have one spouse living in independent living or assisted living and another in memory care. Most of our residents are about 85 years old. We tend to provide as many services and amenities as we can. For instance, when I say most of our residents don't drive, obviously memory care residents don't drive. Many of the assisted living residents don't drive. And usually within 2 or 3 years, the independent living residents typically give up their cars. So we provide shuttle service to doctors, retail, any type of outings that they may want to go to. Each of the uses will have its own dining area. So for memory care, we'll have its dining area. Same thing with assisted living, same thing with the independent living. We'll have a central kitchen or economies of scale that services all of those. We'll have a chapel, we'll have a theater room. In the assisted living, we'll have a bistro. In the independent living, we'll have a pub area. And then we'll have numerous activities, activity rooms and therapy rooms throughout the building. We also provide gardens, outdoor areas for the residents to go out and enjoy outdoor activities as well as trails. So that also helps the decrease in burden on the Parks and Rec department. For this particular facility, we're looking at about 38 memory care units, about 66 assisted living, and about 90 independent living. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions or comments from the council?
Yes, sir, Mr. President.
Dr. Hoover.
What's your average salary that you be bringing into the city?
For the employees there?
Yeah.
It varies. We have everything from cooks to head chefs to marketing, maintenance, management, and then nursing staff. So it's a wide range. I don't know.
You don't have an average?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, we have to provide that for you.
We have a wonderful Hoover Senior Center and library here in our city. Do y'all provide any transportation back and forth to some of these facilities for your residents?
Right, and that's what I was mentioning, since most of our residents don't drive or give up their cars shortly after coming into our facilities. We provide shuttle service to doctor's appointments, to those type of facilities, retail outings, things like that.
And if you're approved, I believe most of this council in the city would appreciate it very much if you would consider buying local for all your construction costs. Dr. Hoover?
Okay, we have not gotten to the bidding process with general contractors, but obviously when we do, we'll push them to use local subs to the extent possible and local materials to the extent possible.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions from the council?
I have one real quick. Part of this facility is going to require a certificate of need, correct?
That's
Okay. We talked about that a little bit in planning and zoning. Do you foresee any problem with that? If that was not, do you typically, is that a done deal or?
No, we're getting getting ready, it's a two-step process. You have to apply to the Board of Adjustments to increase the level of beds or need for the county. And so we are getting ready to submit that application, request that increase. Once you receive that, then you file the actual CON application to get those bids for this particular facility. We believe it's a 4 to 8 month process, depending on if it's opposed. We just did this in Montgomery, and because of the new governor coming in, she appointed new members to the Board of Adjustment to the CON. So it's taken longer there, but we believe we should have this in 4 to 6 months. Okay?
I noticed that your property oversees the lake. What type of safety factors are you going to build in on your property to keep any of your residents from this accidentally stumbling into the water?
Sure, we see that as a amenity, and I believe we're showing a trail along that. Our memory care residents, they are in an enclosed facility, so they cannot leave the facility or the garden area without supervision. Independent living, those residents are basically, that's apartment style living. And then assisted care is also more like apartment living. So we don't really see the need for any precautionary measures, but if that becomes an issue or something that's required, we're happy to look into it.
Looking at the map, is that going to be a 4-story facility?
Yeah, as you can see, the portion on the left is the independent living, and as it wraps around, that becomes the assisted living. And then the 1-story section closest to us, that will be the CON or memory care facility.
Tim, are there any issues, the fact that this is over 3 stories with zoning? Okay.
No issues.
No issues, okay.
We say we're 500 feet away from the closest residential, so that alleviates any kind of concern.
Well, there are some instances where there is a 3-story limitation, that's wrong. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak for or against this proposal? Seeing none,
Mr. President?
yes, sir.
Did you say, sir, how many employees you expected to be employed at this facility that should pass?
Typically about 120, 125 employees between maintenance, marketing, chefs, cooks, cleaning, nurses, transportation.
Mr. President, I have 2 questions. I'm assuming elevators will be, okay. And also, the areas can be relatively expensive, especially for seniors. Any educational programs available to residents in the area that may not know much about how to enter into these facilities financially, the whole step process on how to get into one of these facilities, because I would think that the longevity of someone's life, staying by themselves versus having support by folk, can be beneficial. Things that happen at the senior center, I'm hearing the more seniors are around people and are doing things, utilizing their mechanics and brain, it really helps them with long-term positive effects mentally. So I guess how do you, market this to the community, and how do you find folks that are in need, and how are they able to pay for it, I guess, and opportunities out there?
Sure. The first part of your question was cost. One good thing about our facilities is we, unlike a lot of our competitors, don't charge a huge buy-in fee. A lot of our competitors, you actually have to pay a lot of money up front to buy into one of these facilities. $100,000, $200,000, $300,000. We don't charge that. If someone wants to leave one of our facilities, they're free to do that, and we don't keep a percentage of $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 all the amenities that we do offer, it is expensive. I don't know what the going rate for apartments here, but it is pricey because of all the amenities and physical therapy that we offer, and the central kitchen and dining for everyone. Independent living, they typically come downstairs and just have dinner. They have their own kitchen. Assisted living typically eat 3 meals a day downstairs in the dining area, and obviously for memory care, 3 meals are provided. So those are some of the things that increase the cost or services we provide. The second part of your question is outreach. We have a whole marketing group that reaches out to the demographics of the community and reach out to people who they think possibly may want to be in the facility. And we provide marketing and answering questions, things like that.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I've got 2 things real quick. You're independent. Any 2 bedrooms, they're going to be 1 bedroom?
There'll be some 2 bedrooms.
All right. How many square feet on average?
For the 2 bedrooms? Or just,
Single?
we have everything from studios up to large 2 bedrooms, so it's a wide range. I would say probably 500 to 600 feet, probably 14 to 1,500 feet.
Do you receive any government support for your residents as far as paying cost of their stay?
No, we're primarily private now.
Okay. Do your residents have to liquidate their assets? All right, very good.
Mr. President, it looks like we can on it.
Come on down, sir. We need your name and address. Did you get here? Yes, sir.
I'm Steve Grondin. I live at 199 Trace Ridge Road in Hoover. The recent hurricanes in Florida kind of showed that when you have a concentration of relatively frail people, there's a lot of advanced planning necessary to be able to keep them safe in extraordinary circumstances. Has your company taken any lessons from those recent events in terms of planning and developing your facilities?
Hi, Will Holmes with Smith Packet.
We'll need your address as well.
4423 Pheasant Ridge Road, Roanoke, Virginia. Every community that we have has their own developed emergency response plan. And part of the licensing process that we will go through for the assisted living and memory care portion of this building will require state review of that plan. And Smith Packet is the developer of the community. Our sister company, Harmony Senior Services, is the operator of the company, so we're both operator and developer. And Harmony Senior Services has communities elsewhere. We're currently working on 3 communities here in the Alabama area, and they would all be working together in any kind of emergency situation as well.
As well as our public safety providers. Chief? Correct. Should we all work closely together?
Yes.
Any other comments from the audience? Questions? Any from the council? I guess this will end our public hearing portion, and I'm open for a motion.
Mr. President, I move for approval of the conditional use for crossings of Hoover.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any additional comments, questions, or concerns?
Mr. President, I will say one thing if I may. This is currently zoned planned industrial, and one thing we've learned is that there's a lot of things that this could be used for. And when you look at the array of things that this is, I think as a city, we're not going to out of the park. I think this is a great development. I mean, we're going to bring some great residents into Hoover, and I think I've looked at some of y'all's other properties that have a great reputation and look really good. So I think this is an awesome thing to happen for that land.
Thank you, sir. Anything else? Seeing and hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed nay. The ayes have it. Item number 11, public hearing for AUM Enterprises has been withdrawn. We're going to need, requested to be withdrawn by the applicant. We will need a motion.
Yes, Mr. President, I move that we withdraw the conditional use application.
And that would, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Do we need a separate motion on the UBC application, or is that?
They're together.
Okay, very good. Mr. Lytle, we had a big stack of bills tonight.
Yeah, I think they held them off in January, but I recommend they all be paid in full.
Second. Motion is second. I saw several entries for the school system. I'm assuming that's why we've got so many representatives here tonight. Maybe they want to pick up the checks.
We have a prayer for board members.
Unless anybody has any questions.
Vote on that, too.
I'm sorry? We have a motion on the second. From the members. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Comments or questions from the council? Any from the audience? Perhaps a former school board member who might reapply again this spring.
Thank you, Mr. President. Stephen Presley, 2401 Meadowlark Drive in Hoover. To you guys behind the table, to our mayor, to Mr. Rice, Mr. Martin, and all those involved in putting on the future Hoover town meetings, thank you. I was able to attend the Bluff Park one last week, and it was very interesting, a lot of good comments. One extremely intriguing to me. These meetings have been publicized. They've been inundated on social media. They're on the city's website. But yet we had a citizen say that we need to do a better job communicating. After thinking on that, I don't think it was a lack of communication. I think it was a lack of effective communication. Because when you communicate, it takes two parties. And so tonight I'd like to ask you guys to continue to strive in every way you can to communicate everything that's going on. Because there are a lot of people that aren't involved, they don't have children in the school systems, they don't aren't a part of the city in as many ways, can't attend these meetings, can't watch on live stream, and they don't know a lot about what's going on. So I implore you to continue to try every way possible to reach every citizen of our city. The second part of my comments, several weeks ago, has to do with communication as well. Several weeks ago, I sent you guys an email in the mayor's office as well, inviting you to an event this Friday night, and wanted to make sure that this was effective communication. So I'm here tonight to personally invite you to Friday night, February the 9th at 6 o'clock at Spain Park High School. Our 4 middle schools as well as our 2 high school show choirs will put on a show choir showcase. If you've never seen our students perform in a show choir format, you need to come. It's very exciting. You'll be tapping your toe. You'll enjoy it. You'll see that we have some very, very talented students as well as very talented instructors to pull this off. And so we'd like to personally invite you guys on behalf of the Hoover and Spain Park and our middle school's choir department to come Friday night, 6 o'clock at Spain Park. If you will like to come, please let me know. This is a citywide event and it will be crowded, and I'll need to make sure you have a seat at center stage. But I hope you guys can be there, and thank you for what you do for us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Rice, something I just thought of with his concerns. What is the possibility of reaching out to our local television stations for some PSAs? Don't they do a certain amount of that at no charge?
Excuse me, they do. I'm not aware of those parameters, but I think we have people on staff who are very familiar with that. We did do press releases about the Future Hoover, 2 series of Future Hoover meetings, the initial 4 meetings and then the 3 for the comprehensive plan. Mr. Presley is very correct. It's a challenge to find every communications channel that various people use today, but we're always willing to continue to explore those alternatives. So I'll talk with Ms. Schomer when she returns, and we'll see what the rules are about PSAs and how we can access some of that public time.
Do we have access to that weather message that goes across the screen?
Only in a declared emergency.
Do I hear a motion?
Worth a shot.
Maybe we should talk to some of our radio stations and TV stations. I know it's a little late for tomorrow night, but there will be future rounds of that and other town hall atmospheres, and maybe we should keep that in the back of our head.
Be happy to. We might have a council member with a media background who can help connect us to some of those things.
Okay. Any other questions, comments from the council? Any more from the audience? Seeing and hearing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second, everybody in favor, can leave.